Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Movie Watch Live. Tonight, we're watching WARGAMES from 1983, and it is indeed the 40th anniversary. In fact, it was last Saturday of the 40th anniversary of this movie, which is regarded as a science fiction techno-thriller movie, which fits into a specific niche genre of the 1980s. One of the most influential movies of the early 80s, which is a massive fan favorite and one of the most well-loved and a very influential movie, which went on to influence many other movies and introduced a whole nation, in fact the world, to the idea of the internet burgeoning at the time, and hackers, and also the world of IT and information technology, and brought a lot of people into the awareness of where we are, which is very much part of the everyday life of today's world. The internet is something that we take for granted today, but in this movie we're introduced to it in its infancy for the first time. And joining me tonight is, of course, my co-hosts, which are Ralph and also, of course, Tony Nasser. And I think Tony Nasser tonight comes as General Tony Berenger, and Ralph is WOP Ralph, or WOP Ralph. And of course, I'm Pete McWhopper. And as the ladies quite well know. Good evening, Ralph. How are you doing tonight? And have you seen this movie before?
Doing well tonight, and yeah, of course, I've as a child of the '80s, of course, I've seen this one, and this is one that, yeah, you nailed it. Basically, this came out right around the time that everybody that had a computer was just They were just
Just getting
starting to
into it.
understand. Yeah, they were just starting to understand modems, just starting to
Mm.
understand dialing into other systems, and everybody wondered, what can I
Everybody
dial
wanted to
into and
hack.
hack? Yes.
Yeah, I remember having a Commodore 64. My friends had Spectrums, and other people had Ataris, and
Yeah,
this, that, and the other,
we had the
and
VIC-20, Commodore
yeah,
64.
and I just remember how influential this movie was, and inspired a lot of different computer games at the time, and just brought that awareness into everybody's mind that we were living in this age of information, and
And it
just
merges.
incredible.
Yeah, it merges two giant things that were ongoing in the early '80s. The first was the explosion of computers.
Mm,
Suddenly, people had home computers. They were, you know, the, people for the first time had a computer in their home. They
mhm.
were learning how to do things with it, and the the ideas of things that people would do with them, eventually, like you said, became the internet, became what we use day to day. And the second was the ever constant threat of nuclear war, which
Yeah,
we just don't understand now. But
yeah, and that was so much part of all of the movies of the early '80s. I mean, it
yes.
harks back to, because there is an influence. Well, the writers and the director did try to get away from any similarity with Doctor Strangelove
Hmm.
in this movie, but I mean, it was a constant threat. And I think in the early '80s, and remember, President Reagan was in power in America at the time, and then you had his version of Star Wars, which we know now was a huge psyop to make the Russians think that the Americans had something which could destroy Russian technology.
Yeah.
But it was certainly hanging over all the time, and it was something we all thought about as kids.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
And I mean,
and it fits into this whole, because we've already watched Firefox on this channel, haven't we?
yes.
And and of course that was just a year earlier, and these movies have stood the test of time, as we always say, but they're they're definitely symptomatic of the era, and the pop music, the movies all had these overtones. Well, I mean, you could even argue Star Wars was a bit of a, not just an overtone of supposed to be like Imperial troops, but you could even argue it was the shadow of the Soviet Union, and you also had, was it Pet Shop Boys, Two Tribes Go to War, and it influenced everything, that constant threat. But
Oh
it
yeah.
also fits into this genre of techno movies. Like, okay, it's quite different from Tron, but Tron was similar in as much as it was about this new era of technology, computer technology.
Well, and
And,
yeah.
and I suppose Tron was an example of a different way of telling the story of the internet, because the internet, we're very much in this. We're doing this now because of the virtual space of the internet.
Oh
So
yeah.
hugely influential movie, ahead of its time, really.
Oh yeah. Well, and it all came back to, like I said, computers being new, coming in, and people didn't people didn't understand them yet,
Hmm.
but they saw the potential. And of
Hmm.
course, throughout this movie and
Hmm.
Tron and other techno movies from the '80s, the potential of
Hmm.
computers was
Hmm.
vastly exaggerated.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Hmm.
major driving.
There's the PCs of the day. Commodore 64, £149.99. In today's money, I don't know how much it would be, but I had one of those, which at the time would have been about $300 in 1983. ZX Spectrum, similarly priced, maybe $250. And I think the other one's an Amstrad. I might be wrong, if anybody can correct me there.
I
But
mean,
amazing time.
yeah,
So,
I guess to kind of go back to it. So you said it'd be about $300 maybe
yeah,
at
in the
exchange
money
rate.
back then.
So in the U.S., around that time, you could probably spend $30 on a week's worth of groceries for a family of 3.
Exactly.
So,
It was hugely expensive. The
yeah.
PCs that you had, the home computers. This is before the age of people getting PCs at IBMs or whatever that you want to call them. But yeah, this is home computers that people use for gaming and the very early games. 8-bit machines. So joining me
Cutting edge.
exactly. And joining me also tonight is General Tony Banja from Australia. Good evening, or I should actually say good morning, Tony, who joins us from down under. And this was a movie you've seen many times as well, isn't it, Tony?
Not many times. I saw bits of it over my childhood. Like I never got to see it all in one
The
hit.
whole thing.
But I watched it a couple of years ago for the first time, and I was like, yeah, this was really good. I wished I got to see it all in one sitting when I was younger.
What was the first machine you had then? Did you have a modem? I didn't have a modem, but did you want to hack into systems? Did you want to get free money from the bank?
Oh, who didn't? But no, it was. I didn't have a personal computer in our house until I bought my own one back in about 95, 96.
Okay.
And it was an X machine from the Law Society. So, but I always did IT at school. Like I always did IT. Like it was one of those things where I just went, this is the way of the future. I need to know this stuff.
See.
So yeah, but I'm far from hacker capable.
Yeah. So
to me, that's witchcraft. It's like I don't see code and things like that. It's just I don't understand how people's brains are wired that way.
Yeah, I don't see the code anymore either.
Also, two Tribes was Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Not
yes, it was.
There
that
you
was
go.
it. Sorry,
okay.
I've lost. Sorry,
to
it wasn't
with
Pet
the
Shop Boys. It was
conversation.
Frankie. Yeah, should have remembered that.
I don't want to chime into the conversation. I was like,
no, I'm glad you corrected me, and that's why you're here because it's like 20 to 2 in the morning in the UK, which is why, and I've also had a couple of beers, which is why my memory is a little bit shady at the moment. So appreciate that, Tony.
Quite all right.
You're my memory today. I'll have to say that.
and I would like to point out for people watching this that are complaining that Tony's accent doesn't match the General's accent. Tony is from the deep South. So,
yeah, he's so south. He's
from the northern part of the deep South.
If you took Texas and you made it slightly bigger and hotter, even more hotter, then about the same temperature as Mercury, then you get Australia, which is where Tony lives.
Yeah, see, we're 5 miles from the sun. He's about 5 kilometers, so it all works out.
Yeah, basically, if Tony goes out in the midday, the end of his nose touches the sun.
It's like Mercury, just a lot more humid.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. Yep.
But yeah, but I agree with your statement of just its influence, though. Like you can see it in lots of things. Like even later on with like movies like Hackers, which you can just go, you can see the.
Oh yeah, it started the whole Deus Ex Machina of we'll hack into the system and we'll take care of this and that So the magical hacker solved the problem.
That definitely is one of those tropes that annoys the heck out of me of television. It's one thing. Things like what's that terrible TV show? NCIS.
Oh yeah.
The fact that they can we'll just hack into the CIA. It's like you can't.
Yeah.
I'll hack into the FBI. You can't.
Now I will.
You need. What they do is they ring the FBI and say, "Hey, we need access," and they go, "We'll open a port for you."
Well. It's interesting you said this because when we're talking about the influence of this movie, it was hugely influential because it was actually one of the writers was a family friend of Ronald Reagan, President Ronald Reagan, Lasker.
The Reagan.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Ronnie
basically,
Reagan.
one of the two writers, basically directed by John Badham. Writers were Lawrence Lasker and Walter F. Parks. And also Wallen Green, and we should mention obviously it stars Matthew Broderick and Ali Sheedy. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I mean the fact that Lasker was actually a family friend of Reagan, obviously because Reagan had been an actor, and writers and actors know each other obviously in a lot of circles. But he actually played this movie. They played this movie for Reagan at Camp David in the summer of '83 when the movie was released. And he loved the movie, thought it was fantastic, but it actually directly led to it was he straight away realized that there actually wasn't a danger of outside influence of the US military being compromised by outside forces, because there wasn't really adequate security, because it was a bit really it's amazingly lackadaisical at the time. And so therefore he actually proposed a draft and made it into a criminal act to hack any military networks. So the movie resulted in a huge, because it also, as we were saying before, it resulted in a huge, massive surge in computer hacking, and everybody actually, the film actually caused people to get interested in, oh, can I hack and do this and get this?
Oh, yes.
And the industry, every industry, was banking, transport, everything, forced to make huge changes, because beforehand people didn't have to have passwords. It was assumed that people would just be awfully nice to each other, and because nobody really knew about the internet, really, it wasn't in the public consciousness. And this movie brought all of that into the public consciousness, and suddenly everybody had to have passwords, and it was a default setting that you had to have a password, and it drastically changed everything. Everything became a high value asset and high risk, overnight.
Well, and it actually opened up. There was quite a bit of debate here in the United States after the movie came out, to people asking, could this actually happen? And the U.S. military had to come back and assure everyone, no, our lines are separate from civilian lines.
Yeah,
you
right.
can't reach them from a modem at your home.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I'm
Congress
sure
didn't Congress do the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act? 1984.
I would have to go back and look. Probably.
Here we go. I've actually got it here. Hang on. Dan Glickman. I love the names in America. The names are brilliant. Dan Glickman, who was representative for Kansas, opened the proceedings by saying, "We're going to show about 4 minutes from the movie War Games, which outlines the problem fairly clearly." A House committee report said War Games showed a realistic representation of the automatic dialing and access capabilities of the personal computer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite a bit simplified, but basically, could you do it in the 80s? Yes, you could. It was,
and a lot of people did.
It was the Wild West.
When I researched this movie, the kind of stuff I found out was amazing. I mean, what's the place online filled with all the autists who find out everything about everybody?
You're going to have to be more specific.
It's not Reddit. It's
4chan.
4chan.
Yes.
Now, 4chan is sort of like the grandchild of the original autists from the early 80s, the hackers who. These people are amazing. I mean, the fact is, we'll get into it in just a minute, but the character in this movie is based upon the real life hacker David Scott Lewis, who actually isn't allowed to discuss whether or not he ever even hacked into a military computer, by the way, because he's been told to sign the official secrets. Well, the American version of the official secrets, I think, but he's not allowed to discuss it. But David Scott Lewis, one of the most famous hackers of the early 80s. And the writers did get lots of research from these. But this is the original nerd movie, isn't it? It's the original nerd movie, written with the influence of nerds for people, for the general public to enjoy. But it's become part of the pop culture of today, and it's by the same writing team, by the way, who did Sneakers.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Incredible movie, which similar.
I think it's a solid movie.
Sneakers is a solid movie, and you can imagine Sneakers as the same sort of people all later in their life, can't you? From this movie, it's like with all of that in mind, let's get started. And obviously, I should let everybody know. Appreciate everybody who's come to watch the stream live, and everybody will watch it recorded. We really, really appreciate your company and the fact that you have chosen to spend your time listening to us and our chitter chat about this movie. Really appreciate it. And thank you to all the subscribers, because another thing, gentlemen, that we're celebrating tonight is that we have hit over 5,000 subscribers on this channel. Over 5,000, which is an amazing achievement. And obviously, I take my hat off to everybody who supported us, and I really appreciate everybody who subscribed to this channel. I never thought we'd get anywhere near this level of subscribers, and I really appreciate everybody who spent their time subscribing and listening to these videos. Thank you very much, so much. And also all of the co-hosts who've been a part of this show from the beginning, and especially obviously to the co-hosts who are here right now, Ralph and of course Tony, and the other people who support us, such as Jeff, who's busy away right now doing something very important for his writing, and, of course,
saving the world.
Absolutely. And of course, the regulars who are also mods, like Gabrielle, and of course Cosmetti as well. And so we appreciate all of the people who've helped us get this far. Thank you so much. So a bit of a celebration for that, and onwards to the next 1,000. So goodness knows when we'll hit that, but really, really stunned that we hit over 5,000 subscribers. So tonight, as usual, if you're expecting to see a live copy of the movie broadcast on this channel, I'm really sorry, but this is a review channel, reaction channel, commentary channel, where we give trivia, we react to the movie, and we talk about and discuss the movie. So it's a bit like a podcast, so you can put us on and enjoy listening to us while you're doing something else, or you're just relaxing and whatever, or you might have your own copy of the movie. You can watch along with us, which is great. So I hope you enjoy it on that basis. And of course, feel free to leave any comments. Feel free to join in with the live chat as well. So on that note, we have our own version, obviously our own copies of the movie, which we'll synchronize together in just a moment. And we use this sneaky little video here, which allows us to synchronize them together. And in that sense, we are able to be all in time with each other, even though I'll probably, as I usually do, boomer everything up, because I am a latter day boomer, you could say. Well, actually, I think let's not say that. We are all Generation X, aren't we?
Yes.
So,
matter of fact, my copy is on a VHS from Blockbuster. Holy crap! I've got a heck of a fee on that one to return.
Well, I'm downloading the whole thing through AOL on my 386 PC.
Those 3,000 CDs I picked up at Walmart when they were free hours have really paid off.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually running this stream on a Commodore 64 with 8-bit graphics. So
that's great. I've got the 64K expansion packs for my Vic 20.
Oh,
so
you're fancy.
Yeah, I'm high styling right now.
Yeah, goodness me. Honestly, I remember when people used to crap their pants when somebody said, "I've got 1 megabyte of memory in my PC." It was like, wow.
Yeah.
You must be from space.
Yeah. People don't understand. Yeah. Commodore 64 stood for 64 bytes of memory. And I think you could get if I remember right, it was a 64K expansion pack, and then you could get, I think, 128K expansion pack, but that took up your cartridge slot. So that is basically
it did, so you couldn't play a cartridge game, but nobody played cartridges on the Commodore 64.
Oh,
it was always
I did.
Oh,
I did. Yeah.
I was patient. I waited for the cassette to load.
Oh no.
Yeah, and then you get to the end. Yeah, you get to the end of the cassette load, and then it wouldn't load, and you'd have to start again from scratch.
Start all over again. Hit rewind. Oh yeah,
the pain was real. The pain was real. But
you think trying to pick up Wi-Fi is the struggle? Let me tell you about rewinding a tape cartridge and trying to load your program.
Well, you use a pencil. That's why pens and pencils were hexagonal, so you can stick them in the. And then there's the read-write tabs on the top. You see all of this knowledge is lost like
Lost.
tears in the rain.
Exactly. Oh, you worked in a Roy Batty quote. Thank you.
Multiple examples there. I'm being compound retro.
This video is basically Ready Player One Boomer Edition. So
It is. It's
far better than that.
It's a tin of Campbell's condensed retro.
yes.
Dear God. So anyway, let's get started. And like I say, we all have our own copy of the movie. I also should just check because StreamYards is not showing me the chat. So I better just check the chat and see if I've got anybody in the chat there.
No, nobody
but
at
just
the
in
moment.
case. But yeah, I mean the StreamYards has changed completely since the last time I've used it. And I do not know what's going on with it. So I'll have to get myself familiar. But no problem. So let's get started. What we'll do is start our own copy of the movie and we'll synchronize with this nice little video that we've got. When you see the flashing arrows come up on the screen, you'll see 3, 2, 1, flashing arrows. When you see the arrows, you press play. That's your cue to press play on your copy. Ralph has a Betamax. Tony has a VHS. And like I say, I'm downloading mine from America Online. It's courtesy of a 1983 internet connection onto an Atari. I don't know.
I don't remember.
I've got 2 cans and a piece of string.
That'll work.
Yeah.
That would be cheaper than Pete's long distance bill. So
yeah, I remember getting constant arguments with my dad over the phone bill when the internet first started. To be fair.
Oh yeah. Dad,
and then
downloading the internet.
Well, there was also the arguments about get off the phone. You've just broken my internet connection.
I've been downloading that song for 3 days.
Yeah, goodness me. That it was pain. It was the pain was real, but we persevered. It
made our generation stronger.
It did. It taught us that to appreciate, and now we take it for granted. And the internet is really the source of all knowledge of human history in your hand, and it's only used to argue and watch cat videos.
Yeah, basically.
So that's what it was all worth in the end.
It all culminated in TikTok. It
all culminated in 10-second videos. So that we can all have the memory of a goldfish. So let's get started with that in mind. And just to recap, WARGAMES 1983, directed by John Badham, written by Lawrence Lasker, Walter F. Parks, and Wallen Green, stars Matthew Broderick as the star of the show, with Ali Sheedy and John Wood. We all know from Matthew Broderick from many different movies, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and also Glory, and many other movies, and also Ali Sheedy, who was a fantastic actress with absolute natural, who went on to do Breakfast Club as well as obviously WARGAMES, and also Short Circuit and Need Input. Johnny Five, and I think it was the same director as well, wasn't it?
It was Bad Avenue directed Short Circuit.
Yeah. So there you go. She was in a lot of movies throughout the years.
He also did Blue Thunder this year as well.
Oh, he did Blue Thunder as well?
Yeah, he did Blue Thunder in 83 as well. So yeah.
Ooh.
There you go. So hugely talented cast. But one of the best actors in the whole movie though is the one that Tony's got as an avatar, which is Barry Corbin, who plays General Berenger, whose all his lines were ad-libbed. He was allowed to just ad-lib everything. And his best line, Ralph, what's his best line in the movie?
I'd piss on a spark plug if I thought it'd do anything right now.
I mean, he might as well have like a 10-gallon hat on.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he was great. He was R. Lee Ermey before R. Lee Ermey was ever heard of.
Damn right. Hell yeah. So let's get started. So what we're going to do now is play this video, which has the flashy arrows on it, as I said. And then once you see those up on the screen, press play on your copy, and you will have synchronized with us. So let's go, ladies and gentlemen.
3, 2, 1.
There we go. So we've started. I can see the roaring lion of MGM on
It'll
the screen.
always be the Spuds McKenzie burping lion for me.
I'm
sorry, Strange Brew. Good gracious.
I'm just waiting until the lion is considered to be offensive and it has to be taken off.
Well, then they'll replace it with Melon Be Smellin' from TikTok.
Yeah. There is similarities, between the start of this movie and Spies Like Us, isn't there? Where they turn up to this like fake house in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, okay, yeah, 80s. There was always. I don't want to go too deep into my childhood, but I will just say that there were places I would drive through that had military style fences around it, and a little farmhouse sitting back on a hill, and you're like, that is some kind of military installation, period. And this movie,
and a very young Michael Madsen.
Oh,
yes, exactly. So
I didn't realize that was him.
Yeah, I was going to say the opening scene.
He's just not cutting anyone's ear off at the moment.
Yeah,
Michael Madsen, who was in Free Willy, Reservoir Dogs, Species, Kill Bill. John Spencer.
Oh, bloody thingamajig there. Oh, God, try to remember that.
Yeah, John Spencer was in West Wing, LA Law.
Oh, yeah, John Spencer, but the other guy that was at
we
ended in there.
Loads of other TV and movie stuff. But they're just, they're decent, nice. And I like the way that they introduce these two minor characters at the start. It's very Shakespearean to do this.
Oh, yeah.
To set the scene with two minor characters, just to start the ball rolling. Because they're just basically enter stage right to introduce the concept. And the first scene is as we'll see, the scene is they introduce the concept of these guys who are trapped in this bloody bubble for 6 months or whatever. Are they capable of pressing the button and saying goodbye to 20 million people?
Yeah, and exactly. So introduce the problem that Whopper is supposed to solve. And I have a buddy whose job was actually to sit in the silo. So
this is it. It's such a. You can't. I know there's like psychological experiments where they've tested like conformity experiments where as long as somebody else is taking authority for the decision, it's easier for the person to press the button.
Yeah.
If they're being told to do it by somebody else, but all the same, you can't eliminate human nature. And I think this is. After I watched this movie, I tried to work out what was I can see the mechanics of what's going on in the movie and what it was introducing, but what's the backbone? What's the message of this movie? And I think it is that this very first scene sets up the idea that compassion is the idea that, if we are to be better, if we are to be better as a species, we should try to avoid destroying ourselves, essentially.
Well, that's pretty important. Trying to remove and that was another big theme through the 80s was the elimination of the human equation, human compassion, human reason. Mm-hmm. And, this is a cautionary tale for it. But this opening scene for me is extremely powerful.
Yeah.
Especially when it gets to the ending and he's like, turn the switch, sir. Turn the switch, sir.
Yeah, and there's so many other movies that have been inspired by this as well, where you have, like, for instance, you've got ones where the crew are in an airborne, like a bomber who I can't remember the name of the movie, but the same scenario where they're cut off from command, or even if they have contact with command, they're questioning their orders because it's. Is this for real? Are we going to do this?
Crimson Tide. Yeah, Crimson Tide.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's it.
Trapped in the submarine, can't confirm, and the last order you got was to launch.
Yeah.
Do you launch?
And it's and the consequences. It's not just. Today's world is just like as we said earlier, we've lived under the threat of complete annihilation.
Yeah. Well, and that's a concept I've struggled to get across to my children, to explain to them what it was like, knowing that I believe that the time was 18 minutes flight time from Russia to where we were in.
Yeah, and you've got less than 5 minutes to decide what you want to do.
Right. Yeah. 18 minutes from launch, you would be gone. You might get a 5-minute heads up. Most of us would never know what was coming.
Yeah. So within 40 years from like the advent of Nazi V rockets to like 1983 when this movie was made, within 40 years, within one generation, basically one and a half, one generations, you've now got the scenario where the whole world can be annihilated with intercontinental missiles.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And this is in the end, this movie goes to the extreme of saying, well, look, nobody wins this kind of conflict.
Yes. And, and that's it. It was a very good, jumping ahead, a very good anti-war message to put out, But, I'm just kind of engrossed in the scene right now. Really.
It is.
I think it's very well done.
So well done, isn't it? And he's just saying, I'm sorry, because he's conflicted between being a loyal military man and his compassion. For his fellow man.
And that's it. It's like he said, if you launch it, you're going to kill 20 million people, and it's the end of the human race.
That's the end of the world.
Yeah. Well, everything, all life, basically. The old M16 20-round magazine.
Hell yeah. NORAD. Government Operations Center.
And that is
down to the Stargate.
Good old Stargate was in there, wasn't it?
There's a few black actors in this movie, who appeared in other movies afterwards, who had bit roles in this movie, who later became like main characters. That helicopter, I think, is Bell 206 Jet Ranger.
It's Bell something. I'm not sure the model, but that sounds right.
Looks about right. I like the orange tail. It's very orange.
Very orange.
More orange than anybody else's orange.
Best colors in the aviation.
Best colors ever. Orange is good.
Pilot must have huge hands.
Yes. It's good paint. Solid.
I'm just digging on the 80s vibe here into the tunnel.
Yeah, and it's very much of that time, isn't it? It's really early. This tunnel, you might know it from other movies. It's because we're not NORAD.
Yeah, not actually in NORAD.
Los Angeles, California. This tunnel was also used then at Toontown in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and it was for the climax of Back to the Future Part 2 as well.
Oh, okay.
With the hoverboard.
Yes.
So it's located in California. It's nowhere near NORAD.
At
the time, NORAD command was located in the Cheyenne Mountains.
Yes.
I think the main command center it's actually, is it now in Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado Springs?
I'm not sure.
But I think Cheyenne is like an alternate, just in case.
Well, I know it's I believe NORAD still has a presence there, as well as the Space Force.
Space Force.
It's
It's very space. Look at this set. This was where most of the money was spent.
Yeah. And
if you wonder why all the rooms, I mean, the massive investment. I mean, a huge purpose-built set. Beautiful set.
Oh, gorgeous
most
set.
Of the films in it. And the rooms all have windows because the producer thought, if we're going to spend this much money on the set, we want to see this damn set every
absolutely.
Every scene we get. The huge door that we've just seen underground is almost exactly like the real door.
Yes.
The Cheyenne Mountain complex, very similar, but it just opens the other way, apparently.
Should we explain what Cheyenne Mountain is, and the Cheyenne Mountain Center is for the listeners?
Yeah. What is NORAD?
All right. So basically, NORAD is the North American. I forget the exact acronym, but it's basically North America's radar monitoring system. So Cheyenne Mountain is actually a facility that is buried inside of the actual Cheyenne Mountain, close to Colorado Springs, Colorado. So the U.S. military in the late 50s went in and basically blasted a hollow chunk into the mountain, made a good-sized cave, and stuck the headquarters in there so that in the event of nuclear war, we would have a command center to coordinate from.
I think that influenced Stargate as well, isn't it? The fictional TV series Stargate, because the idea there was based in Montana. But the same sort of principle, that it was a base deep in the mountains.
No, I think
it's in Cheyenne Mountain.
Is it that Cheyenne Mountain in Stargate?
It's like level 26 or something in Cheyenne.
All right.
So, but the giant door that you talked about is actually a blast door that was built to withstand a nuclear blast. So you've got a mountain protecting you, a giant door to seal you in,
like a 4-foot probably lead door, isn't it?
And the door weighs, I forget how many tons, but it's balanced in such a way that it can be open and closed. Without that, you'd never get it closed.
We'll see McKittrick there.
Defense Command.
Thank you.
McKittrick there, played by Dabney Coleman, who was also in 9 to 5.
Oh, yes. I was just going to say his most famous role, 9 to 5.
Yes. Barry Corbin, who plays General Berenger.
Wasn't he in Daryl also? Or am I spelling Bart?
Michael Ensign plays Berenger's aide. What else was Michael Ensign in? I'm sure he was in other stuff that I can remember.
Oh, yeah. I recognize him from all sorts of stuff.
He's always in stuff, really. He's one of those actors who's always in stuff. But yeah, the main cast members, Matthew Broderick plays the role of David Lightman, who was inspired by real-life hacker David Scott Lewis. And of course...
Michael, sorry, what's the Iceman? He was the manager of the hotel in Ghostbusters.
Oh, that was it. That was it.
I'm not going to pay it. Oh, we can just put it right back in there.
Nice shooting, Tex.
Yeah. I recognize him because he's got that real weaselly little fight, like a mouse.
Yes, I had no idea it was to be that much.
Yeah, Michael Ensign, yeah.
And then there's the Whopper, which is just a whole bunch of lights which flash, which make people think it's doing something.
Whopper with cheese.
Of course, you got to let the U.S. military loves its acronyms. So, Whopper, it sounds very American, very 80s. I don't blame them. Silicone diode.
It's actually I looked into it. Whopper is actually a tongue-in-cheek reference to the actual machine in NORAD. I think it was called Burger. BTRG.
Okay.
Or BRGR. So it's a Mickey take of that. Because it was Burger.
I love seeing Barry Corbin and Dabney Coleman just having arguments because it's like just battle of
Here we go.
Oh yeah, it's great, isn't it?
What's Matthew Broderick playing here? Is this Gallagher?
I gotta get another look. Oh, Miss Pac-Man, I remember that.
Some nice,
Don't remember Jungle Hunt. Yep, Galaga. You got
Galaga.
it.
There we go.
Good eye.
Yes. Now, interestingly, I think they delivered a Galaga machine to Matthew Broderick.
Oh, really?
So he could practice on it. It was so the video arcade where we're looking at now is located in the southwest corner of Ventura Boulevard. It's
Oh.
20 Grand Palace Arcade in the it was actually a real video arcade just north of Los Angeles in the Woodland Hills in California.
Man,
It's now a furniture store apparently.
Oh,
but,
that's
yeah,
so sad.
but
Man, those arcades,
yeah, but
were
they delivered a Galaxy and a Galaga game to Matthew Broderick's home as that he practiced on for 2 months to prepare for the movie.
Even though he probably didn't even have to really play it.
No, but yeah, the name Whopper was a Mickey take based on Burger. The NORAD computer was actually called Burger, BRG. so Whopper's based on that.
See, and I told you, American military and their acronyms.
There we go.
And of course, trying to think.
There's
I
Ali
don't.
Sheedy. Broderick and Sheedy would both go on to star in big, huge John Hughes movies. Sheedy went on to star in, of course, The Breakfast Club in 1985. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. Broderick was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off 1986. And, of course, as we mentioned, Sheedy was also in Short Circuits 1 and 2.
Which Johnny 5 is alive.
Who's Johnny?
Who's
Need
Johnny?
input?
Johnny.
Johnny.
No, now that song's stuck in my head. I'm gonna get
Who's
a beer.
Johnny, they say.
Johnny. I love the Weird Al version.
This is a great joke.
Yes.
You'll hear the crew laughing at this as well, because they didn't know the punchline. Who first suggested the idea of reproduction without sex? We'll hear the punchline in a minute. Who first suggested the idea of reproduction without sex? Yes. Come on, then. What's the answer? Your wife?
You hear him in the background, yeah.
Don't be
Brilliant.
and you won't get responses like that.
Yeah, but this is a kind of character he played, didn't he? He played this like nonconformist, stick the finger up at everybody,
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what he was famous for. Until he did Inspector Gadget.
Oh god.
Oh no. Unless we think about that movie.
And Godzilla. Let's forget about both of those films.
Yeah.
But they really should have, because they did a Get Smart later on, and it was the guy, because Inspector Gadget was based on Get Smart, and because
I want to point out something real quick. While there's a little, you notice he went to the desk, he pulls it out.
Yeah,
he
this
looked,
is it. He got the
there's
password.
There's the password written.
He did, and he knows what's that car? Is that a Chevy?
Yeah, that's a Corvette.
Chevy Corvette, isn't it? That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That
Beautiful Corvette.
Yeah, really nice. Yeah, Steve Carell played Get Smart, didn't he? So I mean,
The movie, yeah.
He should have been for Inspector Gadget, but he wasn't famous. Was Steve Carell on the radar at that time though? When Inspector Gadget, he wasn't.
Yeah,
really.
he was still. I think he was doing The Office.
Yeah, I mean, he would have made a much. This bike that they're using,
Moped.
is a Derby variant moped. It's a Spanish motor scooter. There you go. Just so you know.
Yeah, mopeds also very 80s.
Still very 80s.
Yeah. And you could actually pedal it if the engine died.
If you needed to, yeah.
It weighed about 3 billion pounds.
Some people still
so
have
it's
them.
very difficult.
Just want to note that this dog completely ignores Matthew Broderick. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's
It's
definitely
predicting-
not his dog. It's like, hey,
it's-
you're my
it's
dog,
predicting Inspector
acting
Gadget.
dog. It likes Ali Sheedy though. It really likes Ali Sheedy.
Absolutely, yes. As did most young men in the 80s.
Yes. But I don't think this is because the whole thing's supposed to be set in Washington State.
Yes, Seattle, if I
believe.
remember right.
And this is actually South Arden Boulevard in Los Angeles. So there's bits filmed in Oregon, there's bits filmed in California. I don't think any of it was actually filmed in Washington State.
Probably not.
So there's a scene of
B-roll.
Seattle from a distance at the start there, but I think that's probably just like,
oh,
right,
my
you're
Lord,
on, Ralph. This
okay.
computer.
Mega floppy disk.
All right. Oh, yeah. First off, that gigantic thing he just pulled out and stuck in is an 8-inch floppy.
Pardon?
An 8-inch
Lady.
floppy. Hello.
Hello.
Which
Look like
And he
a
just
floppy.
telephone into what's called an acoustic coupler.
What's
And
this
that's-
yellow thing there? The large round plastic thing. Is that a telephone?
Yes, yes, that's what telephones look like in the 80s. And you would take the
What's that
telephone
big
handset.
boxy thing that he's looking at? Why is that flat screen inside a huge box?
Well, that oh Lord, yeah. Back in the dark ages, we didn't have monitors like what we have now that were color flat or even CRT like in the early 2000s. You had usually a monochrome monitor, or you hooked your computer up to a television and actually did all of your work on it. So off his left shoulder there, you can see the computer, which is an IMSAI
Mm-hmm.
8080.
Mm-hmm.
So without getting too geeky, 8080 processors where that's basically what everything has ramped off from now. So back in the 80s, like most of these places started off in the back of somebody's garage, like Apple. So
because you can imagine he's like basically Steve Jobs or Elon Musk back in the day.
Exactly.
Or dare we say the name of the one who's bought the farmland?
No,
Should we keep his name secret?
Let's keep his name out. So
no demons.
Yeah.
He who shall not be named, who
shall
built
not
his
be
entire
named.
empire off of a source code that he
So
bought from
what
somebody
kind
else.
of tech setup has he got there? What's his setup there?
Okay, so he has a dual 8-inch floppy drive, which is an
ladies.
IMSAI FDC-2. The monitor is a 17-inch Electro Home, and the keyboard is an IMSAI IKB-1. He actually has a 1200 baud modem on top of the monitor, which they cheated in here because that modem actually didn't need the acoustic coupler that they put in there, but they put it in there because in 1983 almost every modem was an acoustic coupler.
Yeah.
So you'd take the handset, you'd plug it in, and instead of saying hello, the computers would actually interpret the sounds over there. So you got some blistering speeds.
It wasn't
of
VoIP
300
at this point.
baud.
No, we were miles away from VoIP at this point.
Miles away. So,
yeah.
But we'll see in this scene as he's thumbing through a computing magazine. Let's see, Creative Computing. We had those all over the place. So you'd get them to find out what's coming out, what the new models were, find programs. You would actually find programs that you would just type into your PC at home and play.
Machine code and basic.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so far, it's very perfect, and you learn
Perfect
the
of the
perfect
day, isn't
way,
it? And
you learn the perfect way to butter corn.
Yes.
I
never knew you could do it that way. I'll have to do it that way from now on.
I remember when we saw this, my old man going, "What is he doing with that bread? Why is he gobbing so much butter on it?" And then he goes, "Oh." So,
do you know as well, the Stranger Things dad for the main geeky character in Stranger Things is modeled directly off this guy. The actor looks almost exactly the same.
Yeah,
Because
you can
Stranger
see
Things
it.
was massively influenced by this movie.
Oh, and I'll give Stranger Things season 1 hits a lot of things pretty accurately
Just
for
pretty
the 80s.
accurate, yeah.
You know, that was you know, there's the old
Yeah.
the member berries trope, but you know, if they do it right for old folks like me, it's a lot of fun.
Uh-huh.
If they don't, then it's like, that's when I get up and I shake my cane at them and chase them out of my yard.
Hey, man. But it's interesting as well because
God, the size of that floppy. Ladies.
but this is where he starts war dialing all the different numbers.
Oh,
the mom in this movie is a real estate agent, and I think she's exactly the same in another one of Matthew Broderick's movies, isn't she? She's I'm sure she's exactly the same character in another movie.
Yeah, I don't remember her. Okay, so war dialing.
No, it's sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say war dialing for folks that don't know is basically he's got a computer program that is going to dial through every number in the range he put in to find out which ones are answered by computers and which ones are answered by people. And then he'll go back and try and connect to the different computers to find out what they are. Back before the internet, basically you would dial up from your home to something, a bulletin board or another computer, and you would have a direct connection, what is now known as peer-to-peer, and you would exchange information. So since those numbers weren't advertised, this is the earliest form of hacking, and I tell you, a lot of people tried it. I may or may not have.
We all wanted to be hackers. None of us were.
Yeah, I promise you I didn't dial from Seattle in Washington to Colorado, though, because that long distance bill, yes, oh Lord, that'd be so expensive. It's not like now where you just pick up and you dial and it doesn't matter where you are, you just connect.
Yeah, it's hugely changed everything, hasn't it?
Oh yes, massively. But yeah, this is the baby steps of the internet.
Yeah. But yeah, so he's talking about it there, isn't he?
Yep. Oh, well, so I beat him to the punch. I should have just kept my mouth shut.
No. Only if you're only over 18.
Oh.
There we go. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. His mom in Ferris Bueller's Day Off was also a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought there was another one like that.
Yeah, no, she was. But she was complaining that she was hoping to close the deal so she could buy Ferris a car.
Yeah, that's it.
In the movie.
Talk about. I mean, it wasn't the same actress in the other movie, but
See, we always wanted to give the girl the A.
He looks actually older in this movie than he did in
he was
Lady Hawk.
It is a very young Matthew Broderick though in this movie, isn't it? A very young Ali Sheedy. Broderick, I think Broderick was born in, was it 61, was it?
Wow.
And
I think
he's still like 22.
I have to point out, Pan Am is now a defunct airline. But it was like Pan Am,
it was a huge airline at one point.
Yeah, they were huge. So you'll see them in all those movies.
Is TWA still around?
What's that?
TWA.
It's $172 bill to go to Paris.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it?
No, it's funny because in the opening of the movie Hackers, where they use like a bit of just footage of Manhattan, just the skyline, and you can see the Pan Am building there, and it was gone by then.
Yeah.
That was like 2000. No, that was 1995, I think. When that
Hey, we
movie
got
came out.
Cosmetti in the chat.
Yay, Cosmetti!
Let the games
Cosmetti.
begin.
Hello.
Cosmetti, the bot killer.
Time
Yes.
check. We are coming up on 30 minutes.
Almost on 30 minutes already.
Right now. 30 minutes exactly.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? Gifts that we forgot. That was the joke. GIF. Your wife. Reproduction without sex. There's Whopper. And this is where we are right now.
The more we talk about Whopper, the more I want a hamburger.
Yeah, I'm getting there myself. Yeah, and I can't think of anybody. I can't think of anybody that would just throw in games and not have you log in. But, you know, what do I know?
So, just a very quickly, theater-wide biotoxic and chemical warfare, global thermonuclear war.
That sounds like a fun game, biotoxic.
That sounds like a nice little romp on the weekend.
Yeah, I'm sure that
Look at the size of that satellite dish.
Oh gosh, there you go. Now you get into satellite dishes for everybody that didn't want to pay for cable.
This scene coming up was one of the few that survived from the original director, who was replaced by the director who went on to direct the movie, the majority of the movie. This scene though is really, really cleverly done, and this is the most geeky scene in the whole movie because it's like two artists having an argument with each other.
Oh, an oscilloscope! Whoa, nice!
Yeah.
Soldering iron in the foreshot. There you go. Nice.
He looks so different there.
Oh gosh, man. He's
granted it's 1983, but
that guy, he's everywhere.
The late Maury Chaykin.
So
I'm not through yet.
And these two are like typical of. I mean, this is the most real you'll get, and it just shows you that nerd culture is really old. It's it goes way back, doesn't it? Because it's all about people who are just nonconformists.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you get your hobby, you get your little niche in there, and then you basically have your own little sub language.
So anyway, this is Malvin and Jim.
Eddie Deason.
Yeah,
I remember him from a movie called Beverly Hills.
It really
Vamp.
is perfect.
Beverly Hills Vamp was a movie I remember Eddie Deason from. He was really funny in it.
Mind, because Matty's being controversial here. She's saying a Whopper is not a hamburger.
Oh, agreed. I was about to say Hungry Jack's because that's what they're called in Australia, but Burger King sucks.
Yeah, it's just I'll go to Jack in the Box instead.
Yeah.
Well, no, you know what?
In your neck of the woods, I prefer Whataburger.
Yeah, I was about to say Whataburger's closer.
I don't get Whataburger over here.
Oh, no, you don't. My friend, when you come to Texas, I shall introduce you to Whataburger.
Yeah.
The spicy ketchup alone will make you want to immigrate.
It
is a land of food seduction, this
Dude,
United States.
You will be in a food coma when I'm done with you.
And the patty melt. Oh.
Yeah.
That music's it's not a very prevalent soundtrack, but that music's the central theme there is really good.
Yeah, very nice.
And you get the harmonica theme as well.
I got it on silent with subtitles.
Yeah.
Just so you don't get struck.
All right. So since I was talking over everything, basically, they're using the same tactics that hackers now use. So he's got some clues. He's trying to research who made this. to find out, how can I get access? What's a clue to the username, the password?
Yeah.
So he's gone off.
And he's doing that technique of researching the guy who created the software, see if he can find a backdoor password inspired by the stuff that he did. This is what's called a library.
Dewey Decimal.
In the old days,
Are
we
you
had
not familiar with
libraries
the
which
Dewey
had
Decimal
books in them.
System?
Things called books, which you had to open with your hands and read them on paper.
I
And
miss that.
what he used there was what we call index cards, which had like an alphanumeric system.
Okay,
where you had to go into a drawer to find an index card to find a number for a book.
All right, in the comments below, I want to know how many people actually know the Dewey Decimal System now. We all had to learn it. Do you guys still know the Dewey Decimal System? I want to know. Challenge for the viewers.
Challenge the viewers. I had a bunch of notes, and they've all gone completely up in the air here because I've had a few beers already. Very quickly.
Watching her try and jog ruined my train of thought. It's like that's the most awkward run.
Indeed.
She's ridiculously attractive.
That dog loves RGT. It's like, oh yes, hello there. Hello. Oh yes. You can hello there, love. That's a beautiful banister and everything. American houses are so beautiful inside.
It is a nice house. Nice.
And he's sitting there. He's not been pounding the paperwork.
Been pounding the books.
He's been pounding the books the whole time. Yes. Oh, sorry about this. Let's clear up here.
Matthew, your areolas are showing.
Sorry, my nipples are out. But
Matthew,
yeah, I mean the apparently Lasker and Parks, the writers, made friends with a lot of hackers, security experts, to make it really authentic. So as Ralph was saying before, a lot of the terminology and the stuff used in the movie, like it's the first time you'll ever hear the term firewall used ever in this movie. It was a movie first. So nobody, it's common knowledge now, but that was the first time it was mentioned in a movie because all of that stuff was put in this movie. Apparently, not only made friends with them, but used loads of research with these people. They also recruited a whole load of computer nerds to be on set all the time to advise Matthew Broderick and the other actors about stuff. Yeah. So one of the reasons this movie is decent is the authenticity.
And there's our first view of Falcon.
Oh.
So the computer in this is just parts of an IBM AN-FSQ-7 Combat Direction Center. I'm sorry, Combat Direction Central.
Sorry, Ralph.
Yeah, easy for me to say. Basically, it's a 1954 era computer. Uses vacuum tubes, and the entire thing weighed 250 tons and took up an entire floor of a bomb-proof blockhouse.
Yeah.
So from the 1950s, we went from that to a literal desktop computer.
It's incredible,
like
isn't
what
it?
He's using.
Incredible. And now today we have mobile phones that we have today, I mean, how powerful is the processor in them? I mean, are they compared to what we used to have?
Good. Compared to what we, even late.
Didn't somebody say this
2010
Didn't somebody say this Hubble Space Telescope has like a 386 in it or something?
I was told at one time the space shuttle had 386 computers in it. I would not be surprised if the Hubble did as well. That would be right for the time frame. Yeah. Basically, your phone that you have in your pocket right now has more calculating power than everything NASA used to go to the moon in '69.
Exactly.
I think they said something like the computing processing of the LEM and all that was that of a toaster. It's like ridiculously small.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they were basically calculators only. That was basically all they could do. And yeah, it's
all they could fit on the soundstage.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, exactly. That's why they used just a few parts of it.
Got a little bit of trivia for you here. I've got a little bit of trivia, a little bit of juicy trivia.
Ooh,
John Wood. Okay, now let's take a little bit of, because the voice synth there is actually recorded by the actor John Wood, who plays Professor Falcon. I think I've spoiled the story now, but no matter. He recorded his voice backwards to make it sound unnatural. So, well, what they did was they got it to read a sentence backwards. So, shall we play a game? Was him reading it backwards, which was game I play, we shall. And then they put the words in the correct order to make it sound weird and sort of slightly modulated them. So that's why it sounds a bit like John Wood's voice.
That's an excellent way to do it.
Note on the actor John Wood and also the character of Dr. Falcon. He was actually based upon Walken. So not Walken, beg your pardon.
Based upon
Christopher Walken. I didn't mean Christopher Walken.
I got a computer here.
It's Walken. Good God, I've had too much beer tonight. Not Walken. He was based upon Christopher Walken. Come on, all right, okay.
64K of RAM here.
Stephen Hawking, I meant to say. He was based on Stephen Hawking.
Welcome to WARGAMES.
As we know, had progressive ALS. But because the original germ of the idea for the movie was that you had a scientist who finds the unification theory, but he's too disabled to tell anybody. He was actually asked to star in the movie, but he said he wouldn't do it because he was worried people would, criticize his disability. And there was somebody else who was chosen for the role of the Doctor, which was John Lennon, but of course he was assassinated in 1980. John Lennon was actually interested in the role, he would have been interested in playing the role, but obviously he got assassinated in 1980. So they gave the role to John Wood, which I think he did a decent job, Wood.
Yeah, right.
I think so, especially
Christopher Walken would be better.
Well, Christopher Walken, when he's full on Walken, nobody can top him.
Play a game.
You're playing a game. What's all this about these computers, eh?
Joshua,
you should get out and play ball a bit, Get some fresh air in your lungs.
Just having a walking off here.
I still regret not seeing the live television version of Peter Pan where Christopher Walken was Captain Hook.
It's great. It's so good.
Do you know that General Behringer was based on General James Hartinger, who was the commander-in-chief of NORAD in the early 80s? He's based on the real guy.
I'm sorry, Tab Soda.
Tab.
That's Tab Soda.
Okay. From a Gen X to everybody.
I've got the gift
apologize.
ready, lads. I've got the gift ready. Look, lads. There's the GIF.
I have no idea why everybody drank that in the 80s. It was disgusting.
Do you remember Back to the Future? Where,
give me a tab.
Give me a tab. I can't give you a tab, kid.
You gotta buy something first, kid. Big
hey,
pack of Red Man.
There's another Back to the Future. Connection in this movie, by the way.
I'm trying to remember.
There's another Back to the Future connection. Because you'll see a certain actor later on in the movie. Hey, McFly, you're a slacker.
Yes.
Jason Bernard. I think it is.
You're a slacker. Bernard.
Yep, all the way from Back to the Future to Top Gun.
Yeah, James Tolkien's in it later on.
The universe.
Yeah. So get those ICBMs on the. Get me the president on the phone there. You sack of shit. Get me President Reagan on the phone there. Tony, I think you're related to this actor.
Is it Jason Bonham?
Do you see also as well though the ad-libbing going on with Ali Sheedy, because they wanted to keep it fresh, and it has remained like a pop teen classic movie, but it was so close to being a really, really dry conspiracy film. So they had to make it fun all the time. So Ali Sheedy's acting is a key to that, because she's always laughing and smiling and carrying on. I love the bit though where he has to stop playing thermonuclear war to clean the trash up.
Yes,
It's one of the best things.
This is a great scene.
Can you stop playing global thermonuclear war and clean up the trash?
The raccoon's got in the trash can again.
Yeah.
And then everything
when
just
he
goes
switches
off.
his PC up, the whole of NORAD goes off.
What happened to
What's
NORAD?
happening there? That's a stranger than a raccoon and a tramp's ass.
The raccoons have gotten into the trash again.
They wear masks. You can't
That's a
trust them.
stranger. And that time I went to Las Vegas and had mushrooms and gas at the same time.
And then here comes the guy warning them it's a breach. No, it's not real.
Breach.
Yeah, Cosmetti, I agree with you. She is adorable. Absolutely.
Hang on. There we go. Ali Sheedy's role. She is.
Yes, absolutely.
She is.
Absolutely.
And then you see her, what she let them do to her for the Breakfast Club. When she's this adorable.
It was shocking.
Yes.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's a tribute to Barry Corbin. We're at DEFCON 1.
He's got just the air about him. He's selling it very well. He's coming across as the guy.
He's always good. He plays military guys so well in everything he's done it in. Like even like Northern Exposure, where he was like the former astronaut. Like he was great in that too.
Yeah. Oh, and here he is. His hard work of hacking his grades pays off.
Oh.
Now that you've told me that the Stranger Things dad is based off him, I can't unsee it.
He totally
Absolutely.
is.
It's a carbon copy. Talk about a member berry.
There you go. And this is where he realizes it's real.
Yeah. Suddenly it's like, uh-oh.
You just weaken a country, son.
The 1980s weren't the worst for fashion. Well, unless you count mullets. By the way, we've got to mention, Tony, especially about time mullets. Obviously, that's a work in progress at the moment.
Work in progress.
But but even the women had mullets. We missed the fact that the lady at the start of the movie who was dishing out the cokes at the arcade had a fantastic blonde mullet.
Oh, I miss my
lady mullet.
That's Time Mullet's girlfriend.
Oh, that could be. Okay.
She's been abducted by Comb Over.
Time
Mullet needs to get her back.
Yeah, didn't we decide Comb Over was going to be the villain?
The villain of Time Mullet.
Tony's already mind melded into this. It has to happen.
Comb Over is the villain.
Yeah.
I imagine him. He's going to have that comb over that Bill Murray had in Kingpin.
Yeah, Kingpin.
Yes.
Definitely. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to start filming.
It's going to be beautiful.
Time walking.
Time mullet.
I'm time walking. I'm very disappointed.
Yeah, you know what? Christopher Walken's got to get in this. Have his people call my people, Tony.
Look
out the window.
Defeat. Come over.
In West Virginia, women still have mullets.
Hell yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, well, hey.
Take me home.
That's it.
Just goes to show West Virginia is still America.
Take me home.
And then here we
Mullet
go.
Road.
Now things get awkward because the computer is calling him back. Ooh.
Don't answer.
Hell yeah, brother.
West Virginia.
Amen.
Lost my mullet. Take me home.
Amen, brother.
I am not falking. I'm walking.
Vulcan is dead.
There you go. I am the. So, this is where you realize that there's a timer clocking down, and whatever he does,
I'm gonna nuke the world.
The literal
stop the
ticking
timer.
clock.
Just
Yep.
like Skynet.
The ticking clock of doom.
West Virginia, women still have mullets.
Yeah.
They still drink Tab.
Okay, yeah. Please tell me there's no tab there. Some things need to go.
Didn't they bring Tab back for a bit?
By the way,
God, I
does
hope
anybody
not.
notice my avatar? Look,
Avatar.
I've got this really. Whopper's actually got a smiley. Have you noticed Whopper has a smiley face?
I had not noticed that. But yeah.
See the light display. He's actually got a face.
Yeah. He's
It
a
looks like
happy,
he's wearing
happy
lipstick,
robot.
like, but you know,
No,
whatever.
He's a happy,
He's
crazy
non-binary,
robot.
so
you're very anime right now.
yeah.
Anime.
Okay, thank you,
Anime.
Cosmetti. Thank you,
No
Cosmetti,
more
for
tab.
confirming me that God exists. Thank you.
Yeah, no,
What's
God would
this?
not allow Tab to
No,
continue.
not Tab.
Some
Yeah.
things had to be
You know, Tab in Britain
smitten,
just means a
smoked,
cigarette,
smoted.
and it's
Smoted.
preferable to the other title for a cigarette, which we can't mention.
Yeah, we can't mention that. You can mention it in the
Too many
UK.
connotations.
Yeah. Can't say it here in the
Britain,
US.
we can mention it.
Connotations.
We also can't
There's
talk
Seattle
about bundles
again.
of twigs.
7-Eleven.
7-Eleven. Now, the
It's terrible.
7-Eleven.
Still have those.
FBI.
We don't have those in Britain, but
Oh, you're missing
Really? You
out.
don't have 7-Eleven?
we don't have 7-Elevens.
Oh, wow.
When a guy in a suit gets out of a 4-door sedan, it's time to run.
Yeah,
Yes,
because he's probably like a creep.
you can probably see him glowing though from a mile off.
It's a bunch of men
Yeah.
chasing a boy. That's creepy as hell.
Uh-oh, there's the van. Look out for
There's
the
the
candy, kid. Don't get the
van.
candy.
Free puppies.
And this is wrong actually because you don't
I'm gonna fill
read
you up
somebody
now.
who's under 18 the Miranda rights.
Yes, it is. But
Well, they probably would
This is a
anyway.
goof.
Well,
this is pre-Patriot Act, so yeah.
Yeah. This is Big Bear Lake, California.
oh, okay. Okay, so
Big Bear.
The 7-Eleven is still there apparently,
There's
but the older
McDonald's.
hut-style
Also
McDonald's
not
has been
hamburgers.
changed to a more modern McDonald's. Well, I don't know what's happened with McDonald's, but like the old-style hut McDonald's and the happy environment and everything has been changed for modern McDonald's, where it's really austere and it looks like a communist prisoner of war camp. Everything's really concrete grey with the new McDonald's.
well, they wanted to get away from the kid look. They wanted it to be aimed at adults, and it's like adults aren't going to eat the food. Adults want stuff that tastes good.
Well, adults
minute,
clearly want.
Thing I'm talking about Americans.
Russia.
This is the thing that gets me, right? It's NORAD, and they're allowing someone in with a camera.
Yeah, they're allowing a normal. Well, this is probably one of the few like crappy bits about the movie where the reason this party of visitors is allowed is so like spoilers that Matthew Broderick can escape
Yeah.
later on. But it's also a tribute to the director because the director comes from Birmingham. Not Birmingham, Britain, but Birmingham. Is it Birmingham, Alabama? Well, there's loads
Alabama.
of
Yep.
Alabama.
There's one in
Alabama.
Alabama, but there's one in is there one up north as well?
Oh, there's probably.
Probably, but the Birmingham,
Every
Alabama
state
is the one that.
Springfield, so yeah.
Mm.
Well, and another thing that this one is for is so they can explain what DEFCON means, which stands for Defense Condition. So basically,
Yes.
DEFCON 5 means peace.
There's a bit of a
war.
pukey scene coming up here where he gives her his chewing gum and she puts it in her mouth. The dirty fetishist.
Yeah,
Yes,
you know.
That is pretty much yucky poo. Doing that.
So yeah, DEFCON 5 is everything's hunky dory. DEFCON 1 is
Look
Red
at this.
Dawn.
He gives
We're
her
at
the chewing,
war.
then she puts
Red
it in her mouth.
Dawn.
Oh, sick.
Wolverines.
Yeah.
Ha! There he is. McFly, you're a slacker. You're a slacker.
The Eagles write
always
checks
be
your
a
buddy can't cash.
Your computer's got a 8-inch floppy trying to go on a 5 1/4
Oh, we've got
drive.
a wild Jeff. We've got a wild Jeff. He might be coming in.
Oh, coming in hot.
Wild Jeff coming in here. Hang on. Let's see what we can do. Hang on, Jeff. Come on in.
Hey,
You know what?
That's a 10-4, Jeff. Come on in there, everybody.
Oh, finally, we're going to get some smoking. I was going to say, it's not the 80s without cigarettes and cigars. Everybody smoked. You came out of, you were born, you came out of the...
You were born with a cigarette in your mouth.
That's right. The first thing that happened, the doctor smacked you on the butt, stuck a Marlboro in your mouth.
If it ain't a Marlboro, it ain't nothing.
I guess there were those Camel weirdos.
Yeah.
If you were real old, everybody smoked Pall Malls. So, Pall Malls.
Yep, that's right. Well, we got a wild Jeff coming on here. Jeff, the old pots. Good evening, Jeff. How you doing today?
I think we've come to the consensus that this lovely computer system of yours sucks.
It's a great line. Yeah.
I'd piss on the spark plug if we thought I'm doing any good.
Oh man, that was so great. So great.
How far is the movie over, or is it still going?
No, timestamp wise, we're at 50, coming up on 56 minutes.
Yep, 56 minutes marked. Oh,
see if Amazon's got
there
it.
you go. So, Cosmetti, did they call them Pall Malls or Pell Mells?
Did you get JPS in here when they got Jump Player specials? No. We had all those kind of ones like Benny Henny's Benson and Hedges, Jump Player specials. You'd see them all advertised on Formula One racing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know, all of those ones. Marlboro Reds. I used to smoke Marlboro Reds back in the day.
Yeah, Reds were my thing.
No, Benson and Hedges.
Of course, I have been known to smoke Reds, Camels.
I used to smoke Camels for a bit as well, but they taste like dog shit. So again,
no, you want something that tastes really bad. Lucky Strike.
What's the time?
What's
the time on it?
56 and 54 seconds.
So we just got up to the scene. We haven't been really describing much on the screen, to be fair. This is a bit where McKittrick's going to take Matthew Broderick on a tour of NORAD.
Nowadays, they just execute him.
Yeah, pretty much. He'd be shipped off to Gitmo.
Do you know, every time they say Dr. Falcon, it reminds me of something my wife said once.
What's that?
She made an error in the way she said something about a Star Trek episode, and I've never let her live it down. She said, it was back in the days when Star Trek Enterprise was on TV. And she said, it was really sad. The Falcon died. Oh, bless her. Oh, God. It's like when she said something about someone who had to go to indoor China. I was saying, sorry? You mean indoor China? Anyway, so we are at 58 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. And McKittrick has a tweed jacket because it's 1983.
Yeah, tweed jacket.
Dabney Coleman's a classy guy.
Damn straight.
With elbow patches.
I love these.
Oh yeah,
the decor of the early 80s like this.
Well, everything's brown. That's the 80s.
Everything's brown, beige, and gold. It's like an episode of L.A. Law.
Well, that's, to get rid of the nicotine stains so you can't see them.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's the perfect crime.
Hey, Pete, you're going to have to explain the joke.
What?
Yeah, look at Cosmetti's latest comment.
Oh, hang on. What did she mean that over my head? I'm a Trekkie. All right, okay. So instead of saying Vulcan, she said Falcon by mistake.
There you go.
There you go. So instead of saying Vulcan, she said Falcon. And I had to correct her because how dare she get it wrong?
It's not Falcon, it's Vulcan.
It's not Falcon, it's Vulcan. The Vulcans come from the planet Vulcan.
I think perhaps your wife was confused by Buck Rogers, which had the Birdman. I think possibly.
Did you not know about the live long and prosper
Did you not
thing?
know about First Contact? And it was a Vulcan science vessel that made First
And
Contact
then-
with the Earth
And then Spock tried to kill Captain Kirk.
Have you not seen First
It was
Contact?
all
the
over a
movie?
mating ritual, but that's very in depth.
Yeah. And did you not know about the music? Da, 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 da,
Da, da, da, da, da.
Okay, Dabney, Dabney
That
takes
always
an important
reminds
phone
me
call.
of From Russia with Love as well, where the two women fight each other. It's like they'll settle this the gypsy way.
Ooh. Wow.
So back to this movie, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
we've
the
just
movie
passed
is
the
still
1 hour
going on.
mark. Damn.
That right, Mr. McKittrick?
I'll give you it in English. Somebody plum got into the system.
Now, let me tell you here, Dabney Coleman, you're going to have to get a much more strong and powerful mustache if you want to try and get this whopper under control.
Hell yeah. Now, if that had been a Big Mac. Here we go. This is what he says. Derp.
There's the ray gun.
Oh, the Ronnie.
Oh, yeah.
The Ronnie Ray gun.
Ronnie Reagan.
Ronald
Oh
Reagan.
my gosh, that chair behind Matthew Broderick. We had one of those. Holy crap.
He stole your
Look at that
chair.
leather chair with the things. And
Well,
we
not
had like
that one in
velvet.
particular.
Oh, okay.
We had
Well,
a green velvet 3-piece suite.
Well, those-
It either had to be leather
Sure, it's
velour
so
or
rough.
velvet. didn't
Yeah.
it? And then there was
Yes.
people who coated their furniture with plastic that never got,
Well, yeah. Everybody smoked. You didn't want disgusting nicotine stains all over it.
it.
So this computer follows him a bit like the CNC follows people today, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Now, talking about exaggerating what 80s computers would do, you could not have a conversation with them. No,
you
never,
couldn't.
ever. Everything was
only
in
one
basic.
way. It was
Now
you
I'm thinking of
talking-
that scene from Star Trek: The Voyage Home, where Scotty, not the Voyage Home, sorry, Is it the Voyage
Oh,
Home, where
yeah,
he picks
yeah.
the mouse up and says,
Yeah.
"Hello, computer."
The
Hello,
computer.
computer to the mouse.
Just
Oh,
use
how-
the keyboard.
You have to
Oh.
use a keyboard. Oh, how quaint.
Keyboard.
How quaint. Oh, yeah. They tell him you have to use the mouse. He picks it up and talks into it. Computer.
Computer.
that
Oh,
was
hot
You know,
a
they
great
actually have
scene.
transparent aluminium now. Fiction has become fact.
How do we know
Yeah.
this isn't the man who made it?
Glasses, yes. How do you know that you didn't sell your glasses and you got them back or whatever? Whatever, Kirk. You'll end up in a really bad, pathetic send off in the Generations movie. This is good. This scene. He's been taken away by Principal Skinner. Oh no, Principal Skinner's gonna have him arrested.
Oh,
Yeah.
ladies and
yeah.
gentlemen.
You're
You're a
confusing your
slacker. You're a
references.
slacker, Matthew.
They're just gonna
Get that little
take him away and
bastard out of
shoot him.
here with this goddamn nerdy IT
Gentlemen.
shit.
Gentlemen, there's no fighting in the war room.
Oh
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
no.
Get that son of a bitch out here with his goddamn silicon
You messed
diodes.
up my
Look at
beret.
here, you stinky hippie.
Now this is Sylvester Stallone's cousin, Robbie Stallone.
Give me a
Didn't
second.
get much work, but
Yeah,
I am kidding you, of course. Do you know, like, this could be a computer game, couldn't it? Like a survival computer game, like, because they're very much like this, aren't they? PC games now, where you have to look at what you've got in the room and escape, etc.
Yeah,
Um,
he's going MacGyver before
He
MacGyver
is,
grew his mullet.
before MacGyver was a thing, but he's a genius. So, by the way, this movie was at one time supposed to be called The Genius. I'm
Oh,
so glad they
really?
changed the title.
Yes,
Yeah,
much
it's a
better,
bit
much
bold.
better title. Now we'll give him. It is smart to take the one drawer out, and then you can access the one underneath.
Yes.
He does do some very clever things in here. Some of which would have worked. Others, not so much.
So he's not really a Mary Sue character as much as he's just an autist and he works things out as he goes along.
I'm an excellent driver. We're
yeah.
counting cards.
Exactly.
I mean, what do you? I
definitely.
mean, what in general? And this is a question to everybody. What do you think about the character of David Lightman? What do you think of the character? Because he's based upon real.
No, this is very accurate to the type of computer kid troublemakers out there.
Yeah, I would agree. So far, he's not done anything.
Except he looks like he's taken a bath. But outside of that,
okay, yes, that is a perfect example. The hygiene is completely inaccurate. Otherwise,
and no zits.
Yeah, well, it's Hollywood.
Pimples and zits. Yeah.
Is
there a difference between a pimple and a zit?
No,
I think a pimple's smaller, isn't it?
Oh.
No, I think
a zit is like really up on your face, and it's like yellow and horrible.
I just know that they all ruined prom.
Now we know we're in the early 80s because the guy's hitting on the woman. If that was today, he'd be in prison for doing that.
Yeah, can't do that.
Probably wouldn't be a woman.
Yeah. Oh, John Wood. He actually starred with John. You know, we're talking about what other movies John Wood was in. He was in Lady Hawk with John Wood in 1985.
Oh.
And also, obviously, who else was in Lady Hawk?
That would be Matthew Broderick.
Rutger Hauer, Tears in the Rain, and also the beautiful. Come on.
I don't remember.
Come on.
Who's John Wood? Who's John Wood?
John Wood. In this movie, so the
okay, Professor Falcon.
Yeah, Professor Falcon.
Okay, yeah.
Now in Lady Hawk, he plays the
bishop.
Who's the interesting thing about Lady Hawk is the baddies are dressed in white, and the goodies are dressed in black.
Black, yeah.
And he's so there's a clear sort of like symbolism going on there. So he's like the bishop that dressed all in white, and he's supposed to be but he's obviously the arch baddie. So they obviously thought there was some good chemistry between the two of them, and they cast them both on Lady Hawk. Lady Hawk is a really good movie, but yeah, I mean, really good. Honestly, Lady Hawk is a really good movie. I've never done it on this channel. Actually, we did a season years ago of fantasy movies, sword and sorcery, and we never did Lady Hawk. And we really need to do that sometime.
Yeah,
Michelle Pfeiffer played Isabeau. Okay. I think wasn't it based on a book? Tony was Lady Hawk.
Yeah, no, actually, it's a. I also think it's like a.
Is it a comic?
No, not just a comic. I think it's actually a folk tale. I could be wrong on that one, but I think it's.
Yes. Do you know what it is? While we were struggling for it, because when he was shouting loudly in the chat saying "Michelle Pfeiffer,"
he wins.
And Matthew Broderick is hilarious. He's absolutely brilliant in Lady Hawk. Lady Hawk's such a good movie. It is such a good movie. Lady Hawk's one of the best fantasy movies ever made. So well done. And the concept is so easy to understand and so entertaining. So here we are he's crawling through the ducts. It's a good job he doesn't meet with any xenomorphs while he's in the ducts.
Yeah.
You don't want to be meeting a xenomorph while you're in the ducts. Come on, I want this door open because he's a slacker. We're at 1 hour, 8 minutes and a half. The set for this. Can I just say a quick word about the set?
Please do.
Time for that. I think they spent over most of the budget was spent on the set. Ralph, I think you've got some information on that.
Yeah, let me look here. Yeah, the NORAD Command Center, the set itself cost $1 million. So it was the most expensive set ever constructed at the time. And they couldn't go into actual NORAD. So I guess they couldn't get on the tour like the people from Birmingham did. But so they had to imagine it. And of course you can kind of see they took some things from like NASA's command center, some ideas
Yeah.
like that, and then like what we were talking about with the glass walls and things where you
Yeah.
could see it in every shot. But it is much more impressive as a set than it is in real life. So
Yeah.
basically, U.S. military is a concrete room
Yeah.
with little green desk, crappy terminals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they built the command center with 12 giant monitors, and of course, at the time, screens like that didn't exist. So
Yeah.
they had to rear project them, kind of like how they did movie tricks. So basically, they borrowed from the movie to make the graphics that you're seeing for the maps and all that stuff.
So because the technology didn't, you were looking at that and taking it for granted,
right?
And
yeah,
there weren't any huge flat screen TV technology screens at the time, so they did that with other technology. So when we were kids and we watched this movie, we think, "Wow, this is incredible!" Because back then, flat screens didn't exist, huge flat screens didn't exist, and today we're watching it with today's eyes and going, "Yeah, okay," but
oh yeah,
at the time, none of this existed.
yeah.
So,
1983, I was still using a black and white TV. So
yeah, because the license. Well, do you know what it is? You don't have licenses in America.
yeah, we
but
don't have
have
licenses.
here.
Yeah,
And the license was cheaper for a black and white.
and if
That's
I remember,
NORAD 1983. Wah wah.
yeah, if I remember correctly, the opening sequence where he's sitting there booting on his computer, and with the 8-inch drives, those big
Yeah.
8-inch
yeah.
floppy drives.
It'd
Yeah.
go forever.
You know, if the
There-
Russians could have seen this in 1983, they would have
There
gone,
you go. Yeah.
"We invade tomorrow."
All right.
Like,
now,
but like
actually,
if American NORAD was like this, Britain would have been probably just one woman on a phone going, "Good afternoon. Bear with me a moment. I should just finish off my spotted dick."
oh, hold on. He's about to do another clever hack. He's going to MacGyver his way through this phone, and it
Yes,
actually
and this is great.
is-
And you can
yeah,
see
it's-
how the same writers wrote Sneakers. Did it actually work? So for the viewers at home who are not 40 plus, this is what's called a phone booth.
yes.
A phone booth, and the protagonist, played by Matthew Broderick, is looking for a ring pull, which came from a
Pop
can,
top.
a
Yes.
soda can.
beer
Yeah.
can.
And this
And-
is a
Beer can.
ring pull.
I
Which-
actually researched this. It did actually work on some
Never.
phones.
Never. Well, there you
Yep.
go.
Some of them it
Sorts it
did.
out. Now, the next scene we will see is the use of a phone book. A phone book.
Yeah. Don't forget the rotary dial.
Yes, rotary dial, which is where you have to turn the dial all the way. Which is put by if it's an emergency, it's 911. Let's make it the 9, which is all the way at the end.
Yes, exactly.
So it's like
Well,
my
funnily
house
enough,
is burning down. 9.
in Australia, it's 000, and there's a reason why they put it at the very end.
And
it's the bar that stops the dial. That's where the O is. So in the dark, if you can't see the thing, you can feel it and you know where the 0 is.
Ah, see, that's clever.
There was
Clever.
a point to it. In Australia,
Ew.
but we're all criminals, so
Well,
we're all convicts.
well, it could be worse. You could be Americans and I'll be fat.
Fat convicts.
oh man, but here now she's got hang on, aerobics.
Yeah.
Leg warmers. There
Hang
you go.
on.
Very
Hey.
80s there.
It's Ali
Hang
Sheedy
on.
near peak hotness.
Yep.
Really, really attractive.
And leg warmers. Remember leg warmers
Yep.
and
I
headbands and
never
wristbands
understood
and
it.
all that.
Let's
Get physical.
I miss the 80s.
Let me see your body talk, etc.
Jazzercise.
Olivia
Jazzercise.
Newton-John, as we call her, Olivia Neutron Bomb.
Rest in peace,
The-
Olivia.
So yeah, the film was also partly shot in Washington State. The NORAD HQ set was built in the Cascades. The Oregon airport, which we're going to see later on in the movie, was actually Boeing Field. Goose Island, which is referenced later in the movie, is really Anderson Island in the southern part of Puget Sound. So I don't think any of it was filmed in Washington State.
Jason
Correct me if
Bernard
I'm wrong.
again.
This actor who we've just seen went on to be in other movies, but as with many early 80s movies, like I think the first time I ever saw Samuel L. Jackson, he was playing a robber in Coming to America.
Yeah.
You see General Beringer Junius Barker.
Hold on a minute.
June Barker.
Now that you pointed out Whopper has a face, every time it goes to that, I just keep
Yeah,
waiting
it
for it
does.
to go sick away or
That-
something.
Yeah, I don't know what plane this is.
I
Small
don't know
two-prop
either.
plane. Have you ever traveled in a prop plane?
Yes.
Yep.
It's scary as shit.
Yeah, they are not exactly a
They're
smooth
not
ride.
the most stable aircraft, no.
Here in the States, we call them puddle jumpers.
Yeah, damn right.
It's,
That long drone.
I was actually on an aircraft that was supposed to land on a runway that had another aircraft taking off from it, and I was
No way.
in a prop plane, and that was an eye-opening experience as a
Yeah.
passenger.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So this
course.
is the ferry going. It's supposed to be going to Goose Island, Oregon. It's actually Anderson Island in Steilacoom, Washington. So this is actually in Washington. Is Steilacoom? Is that Steilacoom? Is that in Washington State?
I'm
I
not
don't
familiar
know.
with that one.
Mm.
Not sure. So I think this was actually filmed in Washington State. I might be wrong.
If not, it looks like the area.
Mm-hmm. To be fair, as a Brit, I wouldn't know the difference between Oregon and Washington State to look at them.
Well, there's Oregon and Washington State are right close together. So
Next to
Oregon,
each other.
Washington State,
Yeah.
Northern California all look very
It's
similar.
basically all I can think of when I think of Oregon is the Oregon Trail.
Oh, dysentery. Yeah.
Yeah. You died of dysentery. You need
for-
more axle grease for your wagon.
For the kids in the chat, that means you pooped your pants to death.
It also is a reference to a very popular video game called
Ooh.
Oregon Trail.
Oh, was it? That was later than this, though, right? Yeah, that would have to have been.
Yeah, it was
That
slightly
was
later.
like 87 or something like that.
Yeah. It's a nice scene, though, that.
Was that live? It was earlier than 97.
Was it?
Mm.
I think
Okay,
so.
I gotta look. Because yeah, it's bugging me.
I think there was various. I think it was like 4 or 5 different versions of that game. So, just to let you know, if you didn't know already, if you wanted to know, Falcon's home was built on the soundstage at MGM Studios. Most of the set pieces are actually from Little House on the Prairie and
Really?
old dinosaur movies, apparently.
This cannot be right. This cannot be right. It
71.
first came out in 74.
Oh, that was the text-based one, yeah.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
old.
That's generally the one I think
Been
of.
out forever, Oregon Trail. It's like had 5 or 6 different versions of the video.
Okay, so yeah, it would have been out by then.
First released in 71, and then the Minnesota
Pterosaurs.
company computing consortium released it in 74. Minnesota.
There is rumors as well that the terror birds were still flying around the American. You don't call it the outback. What do you call it? Like a backwoods, don't you?
What, the
Yeah.
American?
Like the wilderness before the wilderness was populated.
The
It's
frontier?
like backwoods, the frontier.
Yeah,
Yeah,
frontier's
because
the best
there
name,
are
yeah.
pictures of like terror birds being
But
shot
pterodactyl.
down and exhibited.
Yeah, back when you say
Just a
backwards,
point,
that's more
because I'm-
deliverance.
I'm a little bit of an advocate that the dinosaurs didn't completely die out.
Well, we got crocodiles.
I think some of them did survive.
Yeah.
Got
Because life
alligators.
will find a way.
Yes.
Apparently, alligators or crocodiles, I think alligators can asexually reproduce if needs be, like frogs.
Yeah,
That's pretty
That's
terrifying.
shocking, isn't it?
depends on the temperature.
That is
The
weird.
eggs that hatch, the sex depends on the temperature.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yep.
So here we
This is-
go.
Yeah, I was going to say this is
How
an
did they
interesting
get
little
the
thing.
effects for the displays there?
They used. It was actually rendered in advance by an HP 9845C desktop computer running BASIC. And I'd say the reason why they used that is because it had a built-in keyboard, 14-inch color monitor. So, like I was talking about, most of the computers at that time were just crappy,
monochrome.
Yeah,
full-
monochrome.
yeah.
This one had
It's amazing how
full
did it.
color.
Oh, are they?
full
No, they're
four
not
color.
F-16s, are they? Tony, what did you say?
They're
they were?
F-15s.
What? Sorry,
F-15s.
15s.
F-15
Yeah.
Eagles.
Great.
So is the
Beautiful
F-16 the Tomcat?
Yes.
No.
No, F-14's a Tomcat.
Yeah,
So they are
F-16 is
F-14 Tomcats.
yeah, F-14 Tomcat. These are F-15 Eagles,
F-15 Eagles.
and the F-16 is the Falcon.
Yep.
Right.
And you'll be able to buy them from a certain Eastern European country before you know it.
Well, I heard there was loads of them left over in. Well, there's lots of kit left over in Afghanistan for a start, thanks to the most popular and most successful president who's ever reigned.
Yeah.
So we're about to
Oh.
see a picture of. I think it's 1 million years BC with the animation of Ray Harryhausen.
Yay.
Ray Harryhausen, who was one of the geniuses of the movies. We've done a couple of his movies. Oh, I tell you what we should do, Jason and the
Oh, there
Argonauts.
you go.
That is
Yes.
60 years old
there
this
you
year.
go. Yeah.
It's Jason and the Argonauts is.
Definitely. So good.
So that's one of Ray Harryhausen's movies there. I believe that is
It's just
60.
incredible.
Sorry, 1 million years BC by Ray Harryhausen.
An incredible amount of work into that.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to
Before
imagine.
the age, so for the youngsters watching, before the age of CGI, movie magic was brought via the technique of stop motion animation.
Okay, now I can't get it out of my head. John Lennon going on about dinosaurs now.
Well, the
Had he
role
not
was
been
sort of written from
assassinated.
because if you go back to the first scene is about man's humanity saying, "No, we can't do this. We can't just go into a world war where no one wins." And then man's humanity is replaced by a machine. So if we do that, what's the threat? Well, the threat is that the machine will just go about doing this heartlessly without any consequence. And then so we come to the idea of futility, where there's no winner, which is the theme at the end of the movie. There's no winner in the outcome of all of this. It's just extinction. So if technology serves a purpose, then it should be to stop us from destroying ourselves. So this feeds directly into the last scene of the movie, which I don't want to spoil at this stage.
No, and that would fit perfectly with John Lennon's mindset. I just can't imagine him going,
But
"These are the dinosaurs."
personally, I'm not a fan of John Lennon, to be fair.
No, but
he was a capitalist when it suited him, and a communist when he wanted to look virtuous.
That's how most communists are.
Yeah, exactly. He would have been a perfect member of the inner party. Don't want to get too political on this channel, but
Yeah.
he wasn't the saint that some people thought he was.
Ooh,
But then again,
incandescent
that's
bulbs.
just my own humble opinion.
He never would have been a Wolverine.
No. But the role was modeled on a mixture of Hawkins and also John Lennon. I think this actor, if they ever remade this movie today, and I'm no fan of Cumberbatch, or Cucumber as somebody calls him. But I think Cumberbatch could do a decent version of this same sort of character
You could.
if they ever remade this.
Yeah.
But please never remake this movie,
Yeah,
Hollywood,
please don't.
because if you did,
Don't remake
it would be an
anything.
absolute disaster.
Stop remaking movies. Just come up with new ideas.
Yes,
This
please.
is the thing. And do you know what it is? The reason this channel exists is because it's an escape from the fact that Hollywood is, well, we're already seeing the death throes of Hollywood now, where they've exploited the idea of reboots so much now. Most films have been reboots, and they've destroyed all the IPs. They've nothing left to live off. They've cannibalized everything so much that it's almost over, really.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that they will eventually awaken. Because in the 80s, we had problems with sequels.
I think the
Because you
future's indie. I think the future's indie movies.
I'm thinking so too, especially with the internet, the way that people can get their products distributed.
Yeah, people can co-op online. You've got the technologies a lot. Like we keep saying on this channel, the special effects that we see in these movies were so damn expensive. Like this set, for example, and the amazing solutions they came up with to create this set. But it's so easy to do nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Well,
that line where he just turns to him and says, "That's a load of shit." It's just ad lib. Sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
That's the thing, they've become so comfortable with CGI and all
Complacent
that,
as well. Yeah.
and they don't place any reliance on writing and pacing and depth.
Yeah.
It's all, well, this is what people want, and it's like, no, that's not what people want. People want good stories. I think
Yeah.
inevitably what's going to happen is
Ultimately.
this is going to, that industry is going to collapse and something rises up in its stead, or they'll be forced to go to these indie people and start afresh, because you can't, they're not going to make money. They freaking lost money on Indiana Jones. How the hell do you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
They did it because they got bad writing.
Making
And
trash.
No,
yeah,
but I mean, the thing is, though, Indiana Jones was a child of its time, and Harrison Ford's in his 80s.
yeah. I mean,
And
well, they brought that out because
I mean, but
desperate
isn't
for
it
movies.
symptomatic? But isn't it symptomatic that you have a geriatric president and a geriatric Indiana Jones?
No, I think it's more that they're desperate. They're
But
desperate
yeah,
for
I think
movies that will sell.
Hollywood's desperate, and the people who, without going too far into it, because like I say, we don't want to get political on this channel. A lot of people with a lot of money are so desperate that they want to control things so much that you end up with people who are way past the point where they should be in any position to do anything. So, probably not. When it comes to politics, that's another story. But when it comes to actors, Harrison Ford shouldn't be starring in anything now. He should be just in retirement.
Yep. Jack
Yeah.
Nicholson put himself in retirement. I think it comes down to people like Harrison Ford, because Harrison Ford's a good actor, and Harrison Ford doesn't have any freaking baggage. You take a look at all the actors coming up, and they're flapping their gums about their political beliefs, and basically pissing all over the fans that people don't want to see their movies, and consequently, they're dragging these older actors out, the ones that they love, and trying to put them in movies. And when you fix the actor problem, you can fix a lot of other things.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't watch Jennifer Lawrence movies. I already know what she thinks of me. So whatever. I don't need to go see anymore.
No.
And
Well,
she really hasn't been in a good movie for a while, too.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I mean, a very quick timestamp. We'll come to timestamp is 1 hour 29 minutes. We're almost on 1.5 hours. We're almost through most of the movie. Both characters now being chased by a helicopter, thinking that Dr. Falcon has betrayed them. And this is, I think, where what you would call the turning point in the movie, where suddenly, I forget the dramatic term for this, but it turns out that it's Dr. Falcon in the helicopter because they're wondering how they would get back to the mainland because they're on an island. Well, he's got a military helicopter.
Well, why wouldn't he?
And
Oh, yeah.
this is
Isn't
the
everybody?
come with me if you want to live moment.
Yeah, there you go.
So this is it's not quite what you call the denouement, which is the untying at the end of the movie, but this is the turning point. So as you'll know, lads, you have this. Normally, you have about halfway to 2/3 through a movie, you have this point of where the characters are almost about to give up, and the futility point, and then suddenly things turn around, and then you have that turning point where there's they're filled with a new sense of energy and purpose, and they've managed to convince the Doctor that there is something still worth fighting for, which is a good message today because God
Mr.
help us, we
Frodo.
need that today, don't we?
I do like how as things get desperate, people get more disheveled. Like Barry Corbin's now his suit's unbuttoned.
Buttoned, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like, oh, I just don't care anymore. We're not going to win this.
Yeah, Dabney Coleman's
Yeah.
lost his jacket.
Exactly.
It's gone.
Exactly.
There's a lot of people out of uniform.
Yeah. I don't need some machine to tell me dad. I love the bit later on where they send the planes up to find the Russian planes, and I just started thinking maybe they were Firefoxes. the Russian planes have got some sort. Maybe the Russians have got some sort of anti-radar thing. Yeah, they're Firefox. Think in Russian. You must think in the Russian. These movies are high octane. I mean, it's an interesting movie because most of it's centered on this set that they had. There's not a lot of deviation from this set. By the way, this scene coming up now was an actual stunt accident, which the director decided to keep in the movie. So the Jeep trying to crash through the gate at NORAD, turning over on its side, was a real accident with the stunt man. But it was supposed to go through the gate, but they decided to keep it, which is why it looks so a really good directorial decision because it looks so authentic because it actually happened. And of course, the run through, it's a little bit of a device, this, because they're running through the gate before it shuts. If you look really closely, you'll see Marty McFly on a hoverboard in that tunnel.
The thing you were saying before about the fact that it's contained a lot in NORAD, that's just really good storytelling because we all know the implication of nuclear Armageddon from growing up in the Cold War.
Yeah.
So the entire movie could have been set in there and it still would have been good.
Exactly. I mean, this is it. I mean, personally, I feel that it's a bit too heavy on this set. But then again, the suspense is always driven forward, so it's cleverly done enough so that because I mean there's a lot of movies which have one main set throughout the whole movie, like for example the Bourne Identity, one of the Bourne Identity movies I'm thinking of, where they're in a control room. In fact, almost bloody all of the Bourne Identity movies, they're in a control room following the activity. So I'm being too critical because I'm looking at these movies sometimes through the eyes of where we are now because movies have got so bad. So I'm a little bit acerbic sometimes about these, but I think this actor's got a fantastic presence though, and
you do kind of believe he's some sort of genius doctor.
Yeah,
Definitely.
He's very much
Do you
got a
know what-
space cadet kind of feel
Do you
to
know what
him.
it is?
Yeah.
though? I think. I mean,
No.
we do have an acting tradition in England where we have like RADA and we have Shakespearean tradition and all of that, and we do churn out some decent actors. But I think America needs to get to the point where they don't feel that they need to rely on English actors.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Because I think there's been some tremendous American actors over the years, and I think, but that I don't know. It's just like it's so easy to just pick a go-to English actor for a certain role, whether it's this guy for this movie or maybe somebody like Alec Guinness for Star Wars, or do you know what I mean? But I think America needs to just develop its own talent, and we have some amazing actors. But in the 80s, I suppose the best films were an alchemy of English and American actors. I think in general, the best movies that I've seen were this alchemy of English and American talent.
In the bringing in British actors, it gives from the American perspective, it gives a different
Like
view.
a different aspect, a different perspective.
Exactly. You know, because even though, you know, it's the joke, we're two countries separated by a common language. You know, it's
To be
think
fair,
similarly but different. So
yeah, I think there's a lot of judgment towards America as being an insular looking country, but really America as a country, ironically, paradoxically, are always looking outward at the same time. They're always looking outward because America's such a huge place. You don't need to go anywhere else really. But I think America is always interested in what's happening in the outside world, and the fact that American culture is quite eclectic now, especially, and open to outside influence, which can be positive or negative. But no, I just think that it's unique to the 1980s that you have these English actors in certain parts. But I just think that it does work, and it does give a variety that, like you said before the show started, you were talking about Christian Bale does the perfect American accent and is used in so many movies.
Well, and I want to point out something else about the actor playing Dr. Falcon. If you watch him through this entire sequence, he looks like he's giving like an almost amused, you know, it's childlike look about it. I don't know. Everybody else is very stressed, and he
could have been a Doctor Who, couldn't he? The way he behaved, he could have been
exactly.
He comes right across as a Doctor Who.
That nails it.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for him to pull out a sonic screwdriver, and he's off.
Yeah,
we'll switch to polarity. That'll shut down Whopper.
Spot on. He's playing Doctor Who, and he could have been a Doctor Who. He's got that gravitas about him. And the graphics on the screen and this scene here where Ali Sheedy and Matthew Broderick are holding each other as to see the explosions go off, and it's so beautifully done as well. And then this beautiful scene where the general's on a call with all of the grunts on the ground. Of these Silases, and it's like, what's your name, son? And it's just, these are ordinary Americans just doing their bit for their country, just serving their country. And I'm not an American, but it makes my heart melt.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. Yeah, one of the bases, the senior airman wasn't there, so it's just got some Yahoo on the phone with NORAD, probably crapping his pants.
That's it.
So,
and you know, and these people are just doing their job and serving their country. And then we get this. What timestamp have we got, gentlemen?
1 hour, 39 minutes, and 10 seconds.
Yeah, I'm there with you. And then the horror of the fact that they're now locked out of the system, they can't log back in.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And now we see the code. Now there's the code. And Joshua is gradually learning the code, acquiring the code. Is this what you call brute force?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. It's a perfect example of brute force.
And this is where we get all of the computer terminology, which was completely new at the time. And we hear different terms like backdoor, deep logic, firewall.
The diet
And we have the
password
archetypal
file's
fat
been
nerd in
wiped
the back,
out.
don't we?
Yeah.
We can't get in.
For God's sakes, I've told you 3 times the new software is horse
I
shit.
think it's the circuits. The circuits are down.
Look, we need to reboot the fucking server, okay?
Have you tried turning it off and back on again?
Where's the damn
Always
off
good to
button?
IT crowd, if you started turning it off and on then.
Yeah. Have you tried turning it off and on?
IT crowds will
I love
there was
love that series.
They had a nice little callback to the opening scene because now they're showing the missile silo, or they showed the missile
the
silo.
silo office empty.
Yeah, now it's empty. Nobody to stop it.
My favorite in the IT God, what was it called?
IT crowd.
Yeah, IT crowd is when they convinced what's her name?
Yeah, the
box
little
was
box
the
with the flashing
internet.
red light was the internet.
internet.
Now be very careful with it. That's the internet.
Oh my! I laughed so hard. I almost wet myself. If she walks up, she places it on the conference table.
So cleverly done. So cleverly done.
That, my friends, is
Here's
the
the
entire internet.
So it's the first ever cinematic movie mention of the word firewall. But yeah, so this is it's an interesting ending as well, gentlemen, because by today's standards, this is too complex for modern movies. Because in modern movies, this would be over. Scientist gets its own illusion. We're all okay. Let's roll the credits and have an ending credit teaser scene for the next movie. But no, that's not what happens. Where, the scenario plays out. They don't react. So Joshua thinks, okay, he didn't react. Well, I'm still going to find the launch codes and launch the missiles. So we have a second ending.
Yeah.
And then we essentially have a third ending because we have another development from there where they need to teach the computer futility and compassion.
See,
now you just ruined it for me.
Now we're just messing with you. Yeah. Come on, what you doing?
Spoilers.
You're making me think. Hang on, Christopher Walken voice. You're making me think. What's all that about? I don't know what to think. I don't want to think. I just want some pizza. Okay.
Computers can't learn. Come on.
I don't want to think. I just want a latte and some pizza. Come on.
I want a pizza and some cowbell.
More cowbell.
Hey, I want to be a method actor.
The computer's got a fever.
Yeah.
And the only thing that'll fix it is more cowbell.
Little bit more cowbell.
I really should work on my Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
Christopher Walken's a hard one to do, to be fair. It's one of the hardest. Al Pacino's easy. It's just Al Pacino. Hoo-ha!
Yeah.
Hoo-ha!
And De Niro is easy, but Walken's difficult. Game routine running. So we are now, ladies and gentlemen, at 1 hour 43 minutes and coming up on 1 hour 44. You see those little things that Ali Sheedy does just there where she grabs his shoulder and says, no, give him another try.
See, I really
people working together. It's an ensemble cast. The actors working together.
I really like her character. I think she's a great compliment to Matthew Broderick's character, who's kind of this quirky, sort of dour kid.
Stupid. And the idea that women used to be sexistly portrayed. No, this woman is intelligent,
but she's also bubbly, and it's like a great counter.
Well,
that type.
exactly. She's not there just so that the audience can have things explained
Exactly.
to
She's
them.
not a sidekick.
Yeah.
Tic-tac-toe. In Britain, we call it noughts and crosses.
Oh, okay.
Noughts and crosses.
I like that line. X in the center square. Thanks for
Yeah.
helping. We've never played this before.
The only way you can lose this game is if you don't put your first piece to block the obvious.
So
Number of players 0. Now that is referenced in Ready Player One. This whole script is referenced in Ready Player One, which
there you
shows
go.
again the influence of this movie. Do you know what? This actor is so good in that movie. Good Lord. I'm just starting to, he really does come to the fore at this point.
Talking about Wood, or which one?
So this is where they have to teach the computer to learn futility. It has
Which
to learn
in
what a
1983
stalemate is.
there was nothing. This is a massive imagination thing.
Yeah.
But
so they need to teach it, and they're teaching it at the same time that it's also trying to find the launch code. So there's two different things going on at the same time. But today's movies, it's just all about my politics. And you can see the missiles heating up in the silo. He did a mention there, didn't he, Ralph, to SAC?
Yes, SAC. That's Strategic Air Command. So that back in the 80s, that was the Air Force basically had 3 divisions: Strategic Air Command, Tactical Air Command, and Military Airlift Command. And SAC, or Strategic Air Command, was the bombers. They were the B-52s that were going to come from the U.S. to Russia to bomb. So
now it's running through the scenarios it's done tic-tac-toe. It's now doing all of the different scenarios for global thermonuclear, and it's trying to run through every single scenario.
And
I love realizing that there's no winner. There's no outcome where there's a winner.
Now, I saw this in the theater, and every single one of those like impact things, the whole theater rumbled.
Oh yeah.
But you can't really kind of hear it in the movie now, but that was that effect.
And there's 2 things I want to point out about this. Number one, I love the way that they did the tic-tac-toe, then they went into this so that you can see the learning process behind it. And the other thing is this is exactly how a computer would come to the best.
Would postulate,
Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm going to try every scenario until I find the one that works the best.
You'd have to go through every single variation.
Yes. So I think this is extremely well done. Love this part.
Yeah. And the speed at which it's going as well.
Oh yeah, it's faster and faster and faster. And they did that nicely so that we as
look at the
humans
look on his face. The doctor.
Yes, exactly.
The look of delight.
Yes.
I wish they would replay these in theaters again.
Well,
I would
yeah.
So I would go to see this so quick it wouldn't even be funny.
You
Greetings,
should check
Professor
out
Tolkien.
You need to,
Tolkien.
Jeff, you need to look up Fathom Events. Fathom Events does this.
Hello, Joshua.
And that's a plug. Fathom Events. If you want to send a check to Pete, he would greatly appreciate it.
The only winning move is to not play the game.
Perfect summary of the whole movie.
How about a nice game of chess? There we are.
You know what? The doctors, we brought up Doctor Who, but during that whole scene, I wonder if he was thinking back to like Willy Wonka going through the tunnel on the boats, how Gene Wilder played him. Just, almost madness. But
this is it. On the cusp of reality and madness. Take us to DECCON 5. You can light that cigar now, my friend. Get that nice big cigar, that Robusto on the go.
Now Joshua's like, hey, hello, don't leave me hanging. I'll launch
Yeah,
these
exactly.
missiles.
That's it. Done.
There we go.
Well, a fairly unique movie, really, and a very influential movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Any thoughts, gentlemen?
I want to see this in the movie theater again.
Yes, definitely. Definitely agree.
Because that ending when you're in the movie, when you're in a dark movie in a movie theater, and like I said, there's all that rumbling and the flashing going on. I remember distinctly when I was sitting there and I was sitting with my buddies. We were watching this movie, and it was cool. It was very, very cool. And it's like I said, it was awesome enough that I would remember it to this frickin' day. And it gets lost on video. It really does.
Yeah, and that's the sad thing is, we get to watch the movies, so we get to enjoy them, but yeah, they're made for the big screen.
Because Matty says Professor Vulcan.
Nice. Nice comment of the evening.
So just to recap very quickly, just a few more bits of trivia here. The movie was incredibly influential. I think it did. It had a budget of, I think it was about 12 million when it came out, but it did like 10 times that in revenue. It was incredibly successful. And bear in mind, it came out the same year as Jedi. We were going to do Jedi on this channel, and I think we might still do Jedi, but the influence of this movie is huge, and it even changed American law. A presidential directive on computer security, NSDD 145. So massive influence, and you can't underestimate the power of this movie as it was. The budget, there we go. The budget was about 12 million. Worldwide, it did $124.6 million. So it did 10 times what it was for its budget. We've discussed how Ronald Reagan passed a law to deal with cybersecurity. The movie was actually based upon the gem of the idea was based upon the idea of a scientific genius. And like I say, Christopher Hawken was it was supposed to be based on Hawken, but it changed over time to become more about hacking. And there were several nuclear close calls that influenced the writers, where there was scenarios put into NORAD that were left in there by mistake and made the NORAD operators and the computers they had at the time think there was an actual attack happening. So it was based on true stories. Crosby, Stills and Nash submitted a song for the soundtrack originally from their album Allies called War Games, edited out of the movie at the last minute, but United Artists used it in a video on MTV to promote the movie. There was only one sequel to the movie, and that was direct-to-video called War Games: The Dead Code in 2008. So never any sequels to this movie. I don't think it really would have had a sequel. It's a self-contained movie, really. And but amazingly, it was such an influential thing that it had an influence on a lot of different TV and also movies coming out afterwards. Different Strokes, Facts of Life, Silver Spoons, Hackers in 1995. We said Sneakers as well. It's included in the American Films Institute 2001 of the 400 movies nominated for the top 100 most heart-pounding American movies.
Yeah.
Video games, 1984, from ColecoVision, the Commodore 64, Atari 8-bit. That game was influenced, obviously, was a direct result of it. Also, the DEFCON 1, a real-time strategy game, loose basically on the movie, was released for the PlayStation and PC in 1998. Game inspired by the film called Computer War, also in 1984. I believe there was a game as well called Mission Impossible or Impossible Mission. That was it, Mission Impossible. My brother played that on the Commodore 64 years and years and years ago, and that was influenced by this movie as well. Lots of different video games, lots of different movies and TV shows influenced by the idea of the whiz kid who was a hacker, and the idea of the military systems or sensitive systems being hacked and what the implications of that were. So, I mean, it goes without saying that this movie is a cult classic and obviously a fan favorite and hugely influential to the point that it influenced the laws of America as well. And of course, it radically changed how people did things from that point onwards. Everybody had to have a password and by default, and cybersecurity was a huge thing that everybody became aware of. So on the greater stage, it was a hugely influential movie. My personal opinion is that it comes from a particular time in movie history where it has certainly survived and has become a firm favorite with many people because of the fact that it speaks of that time, but also it's a well-written story, which for me is well executed. And the ending is cleverly done as well. So it's not a very mainstream story. It's a bit of a nerdy story, but it's cleverly done, and it brought nerddom into mainstream consciousness. That's my own opinion, anyway. Any other thoughts, gentlemen?
No, I think you summed it up very well. I mean, for me, it's a wonderful ride back into those early days of computers where, you're just I would say the only limits were your imagination, but you can see things that are hinted at in this that at the time, due to the limits of the technology, we could only dream of finally coming to fruition now. So it's a fun movie. I enjoyed it. Glad I got to join in.
Absolutely. Jeff?
I don't know. Everybody said everything that I wanted to say, so I still want to see this back in the movie theater.
Cool, yeah, on the big screen, definitely.
Absolutely.
In my nice reclining and heated,
in your leather buttoned chair,
leather button chair, and then a nice
chair with a nice
Manhattan.
Yeah.
But no,
if you can get one with the back massager.
Like I said, when I saw this in the film, I remember specifically how that last scene went. Yeah. And I remember thinking to myself, I bet you this is what it is actually like, to seeing all
it's so authentic,
like NORAD, all that. Yeah. So, I mean, in other ways, it's also a harbinger of some of the issues that we're dealing with today with our AI.
Yeah. This is funny because if we'd been, obviously, unfortunately, wasn't able to do this on the actual day of the 40th anniversary, I wasn't able to do the stream a week ago. We originally planned for doing it a week ago, and there was a story about an AI that turned on its own operator, wasn't there? About a
Yeah.
week ago?
Yes. Yes,
So
indeed.
it's quite pertinent, really. I don't know whether Tony's still there or he might be busy, but if you're there, Tony, any
I'm
last
still here.
thoughts?
I was
Blink
just,
twice if you can hear us.
I was being quiet. No, I really enjoyed this film. I think movies like this from the period they're from, I think it'd be harder for younger generations to get in on it as much as we did, because it's hard to describe the fear of nuclear annihilation that we went through.
Oh, absolutely.
But if it wasn't for that time period and movies like this, I don't think I'd appreciate like authors like Tom Clancy or movies like Unfurled October and things like that. So I have a lot of time for this sort of the Cold War sort of era fiction and stuff like that, because it was a time where it was like, is today the day where the button gets pushed? It wasn't as
Craig
bad.
Thomas as well, isn't it? I mean, there's a load of authors from that era that we've covered movies on, like Craig Thomas as well.
Exactly.
So,
but no, good stuff. It's good stuff.
So overall, fantastic movie. I mean, it does fit into a niche of being, as Tony said there, from a particular time with particular fears from that era, but a very successful piece of writing, which changed from the original idea it was, but became more about the computer age and about the internet age, and for that reason it's very significant for especially the world we live in today, which is an online world. So the significance of the movie can't be understated at all, and a very a lasting legacy, and I'm sure this movie will continue to be relevant for years to come. It's been a tremendous joy to watch it again. It's a very entertaining movie, and once again another one with very little fat on it whatsoever, and a really good entertaining movie for this channel. And again, once again, thank you so much to everybody who's came to watch this live. Thank you to Cosmetti who turned up in the chat. Thank you to everybody who will watch it recorded later on, and everybody who was there live tonight, who was watching tonight, who might have been watching without commenting in the chat. And of course, to all of my co-hosts tonight, to Wop Ralph, and to General Tony Berenger, and to Jeff Dope Potts. And we once again say thank you so much. And again, thank you for all the support we've had on this channel. Thank you to all my co-hosts and everybody who supported all of what we do. We really appreciate it. We just enjoy to watch these movies. And thank you for listening. And we hope that you've been entertained. And we would encourage you to watch this movie if you haven't watched it already. And to everyone, we wish you a very happy good night. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, John Boy.